Hey guys, it's Lillian from the Book Coven. Today I'm going to be talking to you about one of my favorite YA series. The author is Sarah J. Maas. I have read almost all of her books. Love her to death. Let's get into this series. The first book is A Court of Thorns and Roses, followed by A Court of Mist and Fury, A Court of Wings and Ruin, and A Court of Frost and Starlight. Very wordy titles. The first three books follow a character named Feyre, and then that fourth book, A Court of Frost and Starlight, that starts to shift to her sister. And her next book, which comes out next year sometime, is going to center on her sister. So it's kind of like a spinoff. So the book follows a human girl named Feyre who gets involved in some fae politics after she totally kills one in a hunting. It's not even an accident. She purposely kills one of them. And as punishment, she has to live in the court of one of their leaders, and that's all I'm going to tell you about the series. I want to keep this spoiler free, but it goes off from there. The first book, A Court of Thorns and Roses, this is definitely the weakest of the series. It's sort of like a Beauty and the Beast kind of thing, and it doesn't really get super bumpin' until the end, where she is imprisoned by a maniac. Not that the first half is bad, it's very romancy, you know? So I didn't know how I would think of how I'd feel about the series until I really got into this book. But boy, am I glad I stuck around, because the second one, A Court of Mist and Fury, the best one, in my opinion. It blew my ass away. I read it in 2 or 3 days straight, and I've reread it several times. It's one of my favorite books ever, not just of the series or of YA. And I love it so much because she gets Feyre at the end of the first book. She goes through some shit. And in this book, she is suffering from PTSD. She's in an abusive relationship. She's essentially broken when the book starts, and she doesn't sugarcoat it. She gets real serious about it. She shows all of her depression. Feyre basically starts wasting away, and it's horrifying. And it's just, she's not magically put together at the end of the book. She just slowly starts to rebuild herself, and it's really beautiful and cool. And she gets out of the first court, which I've hated this whole time in the series. Tamlin's court, what a prick. You'll see. The last book, A Court of Wings and Ruin, this is the big battle book. There's a huge war with fairies and monsters, and it's brutal, and humans get involved. Her human sisters get involved, and it gets super messy. It closes off Feyre's story, because the next one, A Court of Frost and Starlight, it starts to shift the narrative to Feyre's sister, Nesta. Is that her name? Oh my god, I forgot. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's her name. So it's going to be following one of her sisters. And similar to Feyre, her two sisters get into some shit, and they also get traumatized. But while Feyre sort of fell into a depression, her sister loses all faith in humanity and gets lost in anger. So it's still like how people deal with trauma and grief and the different ways you react to things. I'm super excited to shift to her. I love that she's sticking with the world but expanding on different characters, because the characters are all dope. The court she winds up in this book, they're all amazing. So I hope she gives each of them their own little spin-off story. And yeah, that's this book. That's not a smooth ending. Again, I can't end things. Brandon and Chelsea aren't here to help me. Oh god. Oh, the series is still ongoing. Her 5th book comes out next year. I forget when. I think early next year, and I forget what it's called. But I trust you guys to Google it. It will be on my pre-order list. I hope Chelsea dives into this series, and I would love to read one of these on the podcast one day. She also has another series that I was obsessed with, the Thorn Throne of Glass series. Sorry. All these titles, they're so wordy. I'll probably review that at some point. I just have to finish the last book of that series. So yeah, that has been A Court of Thorns and Roses. Ooh, another thing. I've made fun of the names YA authors use in their books. She does not mess around with character names. They all sound insane. So insane that she has a little section at the back on how you pronounce everyone. Each of the books has that. They get ridiculous, you'll see.